Hello everyone, welcome to the Hidden Game. In this video, let's talk about money, relationship, and family. Let's imagine two families who have more or less the same level of income and similar aspirations for lifestyle and the future of their offsprings. After 20 or 30 years, these families they show a stark difference. One family they have accumulated a good amount of wealth for themselves. They show undeniable evidence of happiness, contentment, and are hopeful about the future. On the other hand, in contrast, the second family they show signs of distress in their family relationship, resentment, as well as financial stress. And apparently, they are never able to miss any opportunity for passing a snarky comment for their spouse. So, what is going on here? The obvious reasons include difference in income, investment returns, luck, or partner's behavior. But what if these reasons are superficial reasons and the underlying reason, the fundamental reason, is something completely different? What if the key reason for these differences are that the individuals in a relationship are playing completely different game? Money arguments in a family are almost always never about money alone. They are about something much more fundamental. And that fundamental bit is the most important game that an individual plays in their life. In this game, an individual has the freedom to choose a strategy of their liking, but they do not have any control or any ability to change the rules of the game. An argument in a family about a $5,000 purchase, for an example, may not be just about the amount itself. The argument could be about who gets to decide, or it could be if the individuals in a relationship are aligned in the same future that they are building. And this is the hidden game of money, relationship, and family. For most of the history, the study of economics focused on the countries, companies, wages, and trade. But Mr. Gary Becker, a professor of economics at University of Chicago, asked a provocative question. Why does the study of economics have to stop at the doors of a family? Why cannot the rules of economics be applied to understanding or modeling how a family works? And if the same economics framework can be applied to study well-being of a family, happiness, monetary decisions, education, and the future of the children. So this became the key contribution of Mr. Becker's academic career, and for that he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics in 1992. I mean, there has to be some reason why the economists around the world call him the most important social scientist in the last 50 years, don't you think? A conversation about money in a family brings a lot of connotations along with it, ranging from positive to negative. However, Becker's framework was applying economic principles in a very rational way. Economics, in his mindset, was the study of making purposeful and rational choices in a realm of constraints. It doesn't matter if a family is a loving family or a dysfunctional family, but they both have to make choices about money, resources, time, skill, and attention to the family member in a realm of constraints. And these choices always lead to certain consequences. Consider an ordinary household where either one or both members of a family are working, they are earning money, they are cooking food, they are managing investments, and they are tending to a sick child. At the surface, all these activities look unrelated. But if you think from the individual's point of view, they are allocating their scarce resources to make things work, right? So they are investing their time, skill, and money to make things work, right? From Gary's framework, from Gary's mindset, the household is considered as a production system. It has an input as well as an output. The input is these constrained resources like money, skill, and time, and the output is the value that it generates, like food, like education, like the well-being of the family. Family is not just a cost center. They don't just consume wealth, they also produce something, and their output is the general well-being of the family. When the individuals in a family they pool their resources, it generates economic surplus. It reduces the family risk, and the specializations and the skills that the individual bring helps bring the economic prosperity to the family. But this is not all hunky dory all the time, right? There are individuals in the family, and these individuals may or may not have an aligned outlook for the future, and that leads to certain friction. The game theory changes when the same players interact repeatedly. From an individual's point of view, the most important game an individual plays is the game of marriage itself. Think about it. It doesn't matter if the family is functional or dysfunctional. It doesn't matter if the family is a relationship is interesting or mundane, and it doesn't matter if the relationship is off to a great start or coming to a crashing end. The rules of the game don't change. So you don't negotiate one time in a family, you negotiate, say, 1,000 times, right? Who cooks the food, who has to sacrifice a career opportunity, who chooses which city the family is going to settle in, who chooses what the family should spend on, who chooses what the family should save for. Imagine a couple who decides to save aggressively for next 10 years, and one fine day a spouse goes ahead and makes a purchase for $5,000 that the other spouse deems irresponsible. Now, $5,000 may not be like a financially catastrophic number for the family, but the spouse that was saving may think that, hey, I committed for saving for a shared future, and if my partner is not committed to that, why should I be the one sacrificing my pleasures for this future? So they may start to spend on their own, right? And that leads to that rational decision at an individual level brings the family to a collectively disadvantageous position where the overall goal is not met for the savings for the next 10 years. Their financial future might not be secured because of this behavior, and in general it leads to a worse outcome that none of them individually desired. So this is a classical cooperation problem, a problem that is also modeled by the prisoner's dilemma experimentation. Now, prisoner's dilemma is a topic that I have covered in my previous videos. I encourage you to go take a look. If you think from your life's point of view, you have one life, right? And in one life, the probability of you having one life partner in one block of time is very high. In other words, it is very unlikely that you will have more than one life partner in any block of time, right? In one block of time. So, so in that situation, the financial opportunity cost of getting stuck with a wrong partner in a wrong relationship is very high, so high that it can neutralize any potential gains that you may avail from systematic investment plans, mutual funds, crypto investments, stock investments, any sort of investments. And the problem is not the money itself. The heart of the problem is misaligned incentives between you and the partner. A relationship creates economic surplus through cooperation. The individuals in a relationship, however, they may still have to bargain with each other to decide how to allocate that economic surplus. Now, bargaining doesn't always come from a bad place, with a bad intent. It can also come with a good intent where individuals want to decide what is the best outcome for their investment. So, from an individual's point of view, the power in a bargaining situation doesn't really come from the money itself. The bargaining power comes from the options an individual have or the alternatives that individual have, and more options do mean more bargaining power. An individual who has more career skills, individual who has more money for that matter, individual who has more retirement savings, they have more options in a bargaining situation. At this point, let's introduce children as a part of Becker's production system model of a family. Now, a family gets to decide how much they want to invest in a child's future. They don't just decide on how many children to have in their family, they also decide on how much they want to invest in every child. With children in the picture, the strategic questions for the family increases manifold. Should the child go to a public school or a private school? If the college fund should be partially funded or fully funded? If an adult child should receive help from family to buy their first house, or if the child should buy the house on their own? If the inheritance portion should be divided equally among all children, or if that should be divided such that the kid who needs most gets a bigger share. All these questions are not just the questions of generosity from the parent side. All these questions are about incentives. It's about the outcome that the family is looking for. And from Becker's point of view, they just become a part of the production system for the family, where the limited resources that a family has, money, time, and skills, are invested in a way that generates a desired outcome for the family. Personal finance usually asks questions like, how much does an individual earn? How much does an individual save? How much does a certain investment generate return? What is the net worth? I mean, these questions are important, but for a family, the questions are at a much more deeper level. The questions for a family may be something like, does everyone in a family share the same long term objectives? Do individuals in a family feel that their sacrifices are reciprocated? Does everyone in a family have the shared understanding of the finances of the family? And most importantly, are every individual in the family playing the same strategic game? This is what makes family a really interesting economic institution. Here we are talking about cooperation and conflict together. We're talking about individual preferences versus collective goals, or present consumption versus future investments. And unlike most of the situations or scenarios in a game outside the family, in this case, the board cannot be reset. The decision that family takes compounds into bigger returns over a period of time. For example, if the financial habits of the family regarding investments and saving, they help the family generate wealth over a long period of time. The small acts of trust and sacrifice compounds into a larger sense of cooperation in the family. The career decision that individual is taking in a family compounds into bigger human capital down the road. So when you meet a financially successful family next time, don't just ask what did they invested in. The more important questions to ask are, how did the family make decisions together? What did the family had to sacrifice? How did the family divide the responsibilities? And most importantly, how was cooperation for the family still most valuable in face of conflicts? The greatest financial wealth for a family is not the stock portfolio. It is not the real estate portfolio, and definitely not the crypto portfolio. The real financial asset for a family is the ability to cooperate decade after decade. This cooperation generates compounding wealth year after year in a virtuous cycle. And this cooperation is the hidden game behind family, wealth, and relationship. The biggest financial decisions that you will take in your life will never appear on a financial statement or a balance sheet. But you would know in your heart that you made good financial decisions and you did okay. Maybe you did more than okay. With that said, I will end this video. Thank you for watching. If you like to see more content like this, please like and subscribe the video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.